All right, so it's been a little over a week since the release of this four-part docuseries Quiet on Set over at HBO Max or Max and the ID channel. And I made a video about this right after I watched it, talking some detail about it, because you have to be very careful on YouTube about how you discuss these topics. But I did a full video where I talked about my thoughts on it. I'll put the link over here if you want to go check that out first. We're not going to dive into any of that here. This is a follow-up to that video, because I got some interesting comments under that video. And those comments were people kind of annoyed because I said nobody's talking about this series. And if you watch the video, I'm more specific about who I'm talking about. So I want to clear that up first. Indefinite pronouns, nobody, anybody, somebody, all of those things are used in a way to not define something, and then it becomes more definitive once you introduce the full thought, the full conversation that's being had. YouTube loves indefinite pronouns. A lot of people use them, and it helps videos move through the algorithm better. So that's why they're used. But if you watch the videos, typically people clear up who that is, what that is they're speaking about. So indefinite pronouns, it's a thing. But the reason why I said that is because, nobody, in reference here with the indefinite pronoun, was talking about the Griftosphere, ChudTube, the people on YouTube that I talk about primarily. If you've seen me make a video about them, those are the people I'm talking about. The Melanie Max, the Geeks and Gamers, the Nerdrotics, Friday Night Tights podcast, all of these people who seem to care so much about how Hollywood treats children. They talk about the horrors of Hollywood, how dangerous it is for kids in the industry. This is something they talk about quite often, and they say a lot of it has to do with people who are more progressive, leftist, things like that. And so when this docuseries came out with a lot of smoking guns, actually people who went to court over this, I thought we were going to see days and days and days of content from those guys, because this documentary validated some of their concerns. Not all of them. I mean, there's always incidents, isolated incidents, things like that happen. But the docuseries did a great job of talking to different people, getting information. And now even more people are coming out. I'm seeing stuff on social media where people who were not part of this documentary are now coming out. Actors are coming out. People behind the scenes are coming out and saying, confirming a lot of the stuff that this documentary covered. But I thought this would be a slam dunk for these channels. Like, they could really jump onto something that was trending on Google and put their money where their mouth is. Because some of the criticisms that I've given them and a lot of other people have given them is they don't actually care about the topics that they're talking about. That this idea, like with Sound of Freedom and all this stuff about, protect kids and all this, like, when you have something like this that is actually new, trendy, and in the news cycle, it seems like a no-brainer for them to pick it up and run with it. Except when you find out that the people that made videos on this, people like myself, were getting either limited or no ad revenue because of the subject matter. And then it all becomes clear. This is why they didn't want to talk about it, because they didn't want to lose money. Okay, you couldn't make one video to this day. I don't think, I'm looking now, I don't think I've seen one video from any of them talking about this. I tried to check the podcast. I didn't see anything in any podcast. They've avoided this topic altogether. The amount of money that these channels make from super chats and memberships and ad revenue is so massive. To take a hit on one video where you could actually tackle real abuse and say, look, we're going to talk about something that we harass people about all the time. This idea that everybody's grooming, everybody's doing this, everybody's indoctrinating. This they say it about everything and everyone. And then you have a documentary that it's actually happening, and you could actually have a serious, legitimate discussion about it, and they ignore it completely. And I knew I was going to have to do a follow-up on this, because the last video comments were saying they'll talk about it, give them a few days or whatever. They haven't. They haven't talked about it. It's been over a week now. They haven't discussed this at all on any of their channels, on any of their live streams that I can find. If there is one from any of these grifty channels, please link it in the comments below. I would love to see videos where these guys are actually talking about real abuse. I'd love to see their thoughts on it. And this is not me saying that in bad faith. I mean that genuinely. I would love to hear what they have to say about this. It's just absolutely baffling to me that they can go around and throw around the words indoctrination, grooming, assault, all these things and apply them to a bunch of people with no proof whatsoever. But when a documentary comes out, a well-done documentary that catalogs actual things happening, where they could say, look, we were right. It is happening. And these are some of the people that were doing it. When that happens and the other shoe drops, they don't say anything. They don't say anything about it. So it's just shocking to me that this has happened. And now we have more people coming out, speaking out about this. And these other channels have been absolutely silent on it. It's baffling to me, really. I honestly, the only thing that could be is money. I've thought about it. I'm like, it couldn't be anything else. It has to be related to the fact that they know that this subject, a real subject about it, something that's actually happened, is too spicy for them, and they cannot cover it because they will get demonetized. That's the only thing that makes sense.